So I'm getting this life book together, and hopefully my focus is self-love and to tell my story of the lessons that I've learned when it comes to relationships, and understanding the relationship with myself, the relationship with God, the relationship with people. And in this regard, I'm making a note because I'm raising daughters, and I want them to understand to not go through what I've went through with their dad. And not to say, I'm not trying to paint the picture that their dad is awful. It just didn't work out for me. But I will teach my daughters the characteristics of their dad, to never, ever, ever marry or get in a relationship with someone like that. That is what I would tell them. And the characteristics is that of someone that is narcissistic and abusive, whether that be emotional, spiritual, verbal, physical, and mental, okay? Because this type of person play on your childhood wounds that you probably aren't aware of, and a lot of people out there are doing that. And I don't want my children to have to deal with an individual like that. It's already, and I believe people can change if you put the conscious effort towards that. But, right now in 2022, I don't know what's going on. I'm divorced, but it's like I will have to tell them, I want to teach them never to be with an individual like that. When someone, the lesson I've learned 2012 was when a person tell you, I'm going to take it out as back as before this individual asked me to marry them. It was April, and I was starting this I was in church, I was I went to Impact, oh my God, I about to say missionary. I went to Impact and United Methodist here in Atlanta, and I was on a praise team, and I would sing, and I went to church. I was studying the Bible, and at that time I was learning patience. That was like my life course I was learning, and I was into Joyce Meyer a lot during my daily devotionals, and just studying and learning about me and scriptures that helped me. And then I learned in one of the Bible scriptures, it was like, and I'm not in the same kind of conscience now in 2022 as I was in 2012. It was like, it's better to marry than to burn. So right then and there, I was like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? I can interpret that in a whole bunch of different ways, but I'm going to stay focused. All right. But anyway, and so it's better to marry than to burn. So I was like, okay, celibacy it is. And I think I journaled it. I think I burnt that journal. But anyway, but I journaled that I was going to start practicing celibacy, and I wanted to wait, even though I was dating in a relationship with their dad before they were born at the time. And I was like, I'm just letting you know, that the decision that I'm making for myself is I'm going to be abstinent a while till I'm married. So like I want to be with somebody. I want to try this out. I'm saying? I'm learning this thing in church, and I kind of want to save myself for marriage and things like that. And he said, I'm not trying to marry you. That was April, right? That was April. Clear as day. He said, I'm not trying to marry you. I was like, no, I'm not trying to force it. I was just letting you know, like, because that's giving you the choice to want to either still be with me or not. Like, I'm telling you, dude, if you want to be with me, I'm not going to be sleeping around. Like, I pulled back from the sex. And, that was in April. So May come around, and laying in the bed, he's laying there, and I'm just telling him, and I'm my sinister self is trying to find ways to like, okay, well, how can I have sex without being married? Technically, if I say I'm married to him, am I married? It's just paper. Like, I'm trying to go against the energy of God's will of that of a man and woman, right? When they become intimate, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like trying to make it work in my mind. I didn't say nothing or whatever about it. We had a small discussion about it, and I'm laying in the bed or whatever, and then this is the proposal, and I need to teach my kids this. This is the proposal. Let me back up some more. It was hate you. This person told me they hated me also. That was April when they said they wasn't trying to marry me. And then May came around, and it was like, had some sort of female that loved them and things like that. And I asked them to call the individual back to see what they wanted. And did not have my back at all. Did not protect me. I'm like, the girl's calling, like, call her back and see what she wants, because I was like, who is that? The person you don't like? And I was like, oh, okay, well, Call her back and see what she wants. She's like, I gotta stop talking to you so you can be happily ever after? He's like, no. And I was like, wow, I'm not saying anything. And she was like, well, if she would open her damn mouth. He was like, she don't think you like her and all sort of stuff. I was like, I don't even know this chick. Whatever. The part about the protection is what I'm trying to get to, and the hatred. And so after the phone hung up, he says, I fucking hate you. I hate you. And at that point, I knew instantly, my first animal instinct, like the minute he got through smoking his cigarette and came back into the car, we're headed to the apartment, I was packing my clothes and leaving, because at that point, that was my understanding to make my decision to leave, because I already know this person doesn't want to marry me. I'm trying to focus on healing, and this person is still playing around with females and told me that they hate me because I told them to call her back. And this is my girl's dad. And I'm sitting here like, okay. And I pack my stuff and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'll go live with my mom. I refuse to live or be with somebody that just told me that they hated me. And I'm packing, I'm leaving. This guy started pulling on me, trying to make me stay, on his knees, asking me, like, please stay. And then he knew I was in the church and said, well, can you just pray for me? Right then and there, I will stop at anything for God. Like, somebody's asking me to pray for them, of course I'm going to stop and pray for you. That right there just pulled on my heart, because now this person wants a chance to get it right or ask for some sort of forgiveness in prayer. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I tried. I was like, okay, all right, cool. That was May. And then it was like he became interested and like wanted to go to church, or at least like he wasn't interested in going to church. He would always go to sleep. It's like 3 different services and I sing at all 3. But I was like, well, we'll go to the 10 o'clock or the 12 o'clock, whatever. Anyway, it was always a delay. So I was like, okay. And then the proposal came because I wasn't sleeping with him. In the same bed though. His proposal, we laying there on the pillows in the bed. I had to go to sleep. And he was like, will you? And I'm like, will I what? I mean, will you marry me? I was like, are you serious? Like, really? I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. That's the proposal. In the bed, laying next to each other. In the bed. Like, because he wanted to have sex. And in my mind, I did too. Because I was trying to make a reason to. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, he just asked me. So technically, all we got to do now is just put it on paper. So, that's how I looked at it. That was my marriage proposal. That was it. And it sucked. There was no ring. There was no gift. There was no flowers. There was no nothing. There was no anything. So, I'm trying to teach my girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first sign of anybody hurting your heart and then they tell you that they hate you, that is the catalyst. That's the foundation of your relation from then on out. And it ended up in a disaster. I ended up almost losing myself in that entire marriage. Like, completely losing myself. And it would always bounce back to, forgive me, I'm sorry, pray for me. Forgive me, I'm sorry, pray for me. It's same thing. A lot of women, I mean, it was so many women, like, oh my God. I mean, how do they know where I live? You driving her car, you in her bank account, you going to the Tilly for her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. Like, what is this? She done been in our house. She telling me about, stuff. And I'm like, okay. And she was like, well, I don't go in other people's bedrooms. And I was like, okay, well, it's fine. I didn't know that she was already there though. Or been there. I don't care. It's somebody that he later told me that he slept around with. I was like, but she's married. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. So I was like, you can't be friends with that. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking she's just a friend of yours. I don't care if you have female friends. I don't care. But I didn't know you was sleeping with your female friend too. So I can't, all the stuff I missed, and I learned a lot. But it was the part that I want to teach my kids, that when that man hurt your heart and tell you that they're not going to marry you and they hate you, then they turn around and play on your spiritual beliefs and say, pray for me. That's an abuse if they weren't serious. They didn't utilize the energy source of God to heal the situation with me. They didn't pour into the cup of love. The 5 love languages, a coworker at work taught me about the 5 love languages. Told me not to get caught up on a ring because it was beautiful. I was ready to throw that ring across that daggone ramp. But their dad was forcing, when we finally did get a ring, like we paid half and half for it. It was, I I liked it at the time. It meant a lot to me. But I've never had it before. Here I am, a hood girl, grew up, ain't had nothing. Somebody want to marry him or whatever. I didn't know. And I thought that's what it go through. I mean, I didn't have a model couple that I could just watch and just learn stuff off of. And like, other than, family, it was only 1, 2 married, you know what I'm saying, people in everybody got their own situations. I didn't know what to do. But they told me, the coworker introduced the 5 love languages. I was like, okay, let me get to learn what this is. I don't know what this is. And I'm like, what is it that I need to do if I'm doing anything wrong? Even then, I was like, well, you're a good person. I mean, I don't know what your ex or female or whoever you dealing with doing is lose you. If you're a good person, if I'm dealing with a good person, I don't want to lose their dad or him. You know what I'm saying? At the time. And they was like, read this book. Get to know the language that they speak. And I'm like, okay. And I'm learning the language, and I try to share it with their dad at the time, you know what I'm saying? And it didn't go right. But I still learned that book because I'm into learning things. I'm a physical touch type person. I like giving gifts. I don't really too much care about receiving them, but I like giving gifts. That's just, I don't know what that is to me. But I'm a physical touch person. That's it. Like, you touch me, that lets me know that's your whole life. I can feel everything. But, not even a quality time. I'm a words of affirmation and a physical touch person. That's what I am. And that coworker taught me that. I fell in love with that coworker. I sure hell did. I sure hell did. I wasn't trying to, though. I would write in my journal about everything. And every time I prayed. It was a journal of just prayers. Dear God, why is he's so mad? My ex dad, their dad. Why he's so mad? Why he's so angry? Like, why is he's so mad all the time at me? I haven't done anything. Like, arguing so much. Told me I was ungrateful on my birthday. Ungrateful and selfish. And I didn't do anything for him. I'm like, are you cuckoo? I did a lot for you on your birthday. I don't even know your friends, but we got all together. We went to Dave & Buster's. Ask your friends. Like, I didn't know your friends, but I got them together. It was a surprise for you. Bought you this, bought you that, and you on my birthday, all I wanted was hot tub action, and you tell me I am selfish and ungrateful? Those are the lessons that I've learned. And I'm like, you run from people like that. And then at the end of the night, like, I left the restaurant crying in tears because you're arguing with me on my birthday. Every single birthday I had was horrible with this individual. It was like 1 or 2 that was okay at a time. But, who cares? But it was like the lesson I'm learning here. And what I want to teach people is like, you got to get the heck out of Dodge when people, like, for a fact, you did something. It may not be, maybe it wasn't much to them. Maybe it wasn't much to them at all. Maybe they needed, I don't know, the sun and the moon for them to say, oh, they did something for me on my birthday. But for them to say, you ain't do shit for me for my birthday. You know what you did for me for my birthday? You ain't do shit for me for my birthday. Those are his exact words. You are selfish and you are ungrateful. And all I wanted was you to just say yes to me all day on my birthday in my favorite city, in a hot tub, in February, out west. That's all I wanted. And so it is what it is. And I want to teach my kids and other young girls, like, who are growing up, like, look, man, I don't know. Didn't nobody tell me that, because at the end of the night, it just gave me a whole bunch of sex. That's it. A whole bunch of sex. Just made up with the sex. That's all they had to offer was sex. The only thing that felt good was sex. But you are still empty. And you still feel like this person just told me I was ungrateful and selfish, but it's trying to give me the best sex in the world. Like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? So I'm like, I know that fool crazy. Not only is that fool crazy, I got to be the dumbest fool to sit here and go through it. But I'm not going to be hard on myself. But now I see it. And I have compassion for that situation because I've evolved from it. And I know now that it was a place of trauma. childhood trauma, wounds that you dealt, that, you know what I'm saying? People who are narcissistic, they smell you coming. They know you, they play on your insecurities and I don't even say I was insecure, but that was a form of insecurity. If you dive deep into it, I ain't walk around like, oh, I look like this. No. I'm very confident in my appearance. I always have been. But on the inside, that inner child was wounded, and these narcissistic COVID narcissists would play on individuals like that. And I did not know anything like that. And if you can ask their dad, whoever, I have never, ever considered him to be any kind of narcissist. I just learned what that was 2019. I was like, dang, that boy was a covert narcissist. Wow, interesting. I didn't know that. It was a loop. And so as I write, and when I write, and I don't know if I'm going to do a podcast or Audible or whatever to tell this story, but there are some people out there that need to know, like, man, coming from me, that's what I went through. It was horrible. And to be choked. Oh, yeah, my birthday, the next birthday. That was 2012 birthday. 2013 birthday, we married 3 months after the marriage. I was like, I want to get it annulled. I got to get out of this. Horrible. It was horrible. Horrible. I broke up. I didn't want to talk about that. But it was horrible. And I have to tell my kids, when you get out of that situation, leave and don't go back. If your inner self is telling you to get out of it and to walk away, trust that first conscience, because it'll save your life or the rest of it. But I don't know what it was that made me feel like I was stuck and couldn't move. It felt so weird, like I was in an energetic prison and trapped. And I kept telling myself, you're not stuck. You're not stuck. This is not life. You're not trapped. You can get out. You can get out. You can get out. You can get out. But it was like, it was crazy. I want to be with somebody who know how to save, make money. I'm trying to buy this. I'm trying to get a house. I'm trying to do this and that. You don't do this. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? I do a lot. I'm capable of a lot of things. Why are you making me feel like I don't do anything for you? Man, you got to be crazy. So I teach my kids how to manifest and understand that they are alpha beings, and they are their soul providers, their protectors, and their producers of life. And they create the life and dream that they want. And they are to attract that same individual that can provide, protect, and produce when it comes to who you are. Because that is not what their mother had when it came to their dad. And I don't ever want them to experience a man like that in their life. It's bad enough he got to raise them with me. And I pray to God that he finds his higher self so that, it just be better life for the children. Because I don't want them to be conflicted with who their dad is and what their heart desires. Hey, and that started my intuitive love journey, y'all. Hit like for more on the next chapter. I appreciate y'all listening to the beginning of how it all started.